I never imagined that my 18th birthday would become the most humiliating day of my life, the very day my biological father coldly announced before the entirety of New York's high society that I, Olivia Lynn, was merely an adopted child of unknown origins. Meanwhile, Janet Moore, the daughter of his stepmother, Victoria, was declared the true bloodline of the elite, the precious pearl of the Lynn family. The ear-splitting shatter of a glass broke the silence of the grand hall. Crimson wine bled down the pure white dress my biological mother had left me, looking like a jagged, indelible bloodstain. I stood frozen amidst the glittering crystal chandeliers, feeling hundreds of scornful, mocking glares piercing my skin like poisoned needles. Janet Moore, the dear sister who always called me Tai Tai, was now nesting in my father's arms, draped in a high-fashion haute couture gown that should have been mine. She wore a fragile smile, yet her eyes flashed with a venomous, triumphant glint. She had stripped me of everything: my status, my father, my fiancé, and now, my final shred of dignity. But they were mistaken. Did they truly think Olivia Lynn would crumble, weep, beg, or flee in shame? Not at all. I clenched my fists so hard my nails dug into my palms until they bled, swallowing my tears. They didn't know that I held 30% of the Lynn Group shares, secretly transferred to me by my grandfather before he passed. This grand play had only just begun. 3 months earlier, the return. Rewinding to 3 months ago, I had just returned from boarding school in England. The Lynn family's luxurious villa in London's Golden District was as magnificent as I remembered, but any familial warmth had long since gone cold. My mother died when I was 5. My father, Richard Lynn, an ambitious and ruthless man, quickly brought his mistress, Victoria Wang, and her daughter, Janet Moore, into our home. Throughout my childhood, I lived like a shadow in my own house, neglected, compared, and eventually shipped abroad under the beautiful guise of studying overseas. In reality, it was to clear the path for that mother-daughter duo to seize the estate. The day I landed, there was no driver and no one to greet me. Only a cold text from the butler claiming the family car was broken and that I should take a taxi. Stepping through the door with my suitcase, I was met with the sight of a happy family of 3 gathered around the dining table. Janet was playfully feeding my father fruit, their boisterous laughter dying instantly the moment they saw me. Victoria Wang hurried to her feet, her face painting a smile so fake it was nauseating. "Ah, Olivia, you're back. Why didn't you call me to pick you up? You look so thin." I watched her perform, silent and cold, offering only a slight nod to my father. But my father, the man I once respected, merely spared me a glance and huffed, "Now that you're back, see that you study properly. Don't embarrass the Lynn name. Look at your sister Janet. She's obedient and just won first prize in the citywide piano competition. As the elder sister, you should follow her example." I laughed inwardly. First prize in piano? If he knew the piece that won her that prize was composed by my own hand and sent via email, would he still be so proud? I said nothing, quietly dragging my luggage upstairs. My old room had been converted into a warehouse for Janet's designer goods, clothes and handbags strewn everywhere, while my belongings were shoved into a dusty corner. Janet followed me up and slammed the door. Her innocent mask vanished, replaced by a haughty, condescending sneer. "Hey, Olivia Lynn, don't think coming back means you can fight me for the position of eldest miss. This house belongs to my mother and me now. You'd best know your place, or I'll make your life a living hell." I leisurely dusted off my old desk and smirked. "Is that so? Let's see who dies first." Enraged, she raised her hand to slap me, but I was faster. I grabbed her wrist, squeezing until she shrieked. "Janet Moore, remember, a barking dog doesn't bite. If you want to bite someone, you have to sharpen your teeth in silence." I flung her hand away, my icy gaze making her shiver and retreat. From that moment, I knew this war would be merciless. St. Helena Academy, the masked genius. The next day, I enrolled at St. Helena Academy, the most elite international school in New York, a gathering place for the scions of the ultra-rich. Janet studied here too, and naturally, she had built an image as a saintly, gentle, and brilliant goddess. In everyone else's eyes, I was just the disfavored, frumpy daughter recently returned from the countryside. I intentionally chose a slightly oversized uniform, donned thick black rimmed glasses to hide my sharp eyes, and tied my hair messily. I didn't want to draw attention too early. I wanted to observe who was a friend and who was a foe. When I entered Class 12A1, The noisy room went dead silent. Janet, surrounded by her clique, pretended to cheer. "Ah, Sister Olivia, you're here. Everyone, this is my sister. She just came back from the countryside. From abroad. She's a bit introverted, so please look after her." Her ambiguous phrasing immediately led everyone to believe I had been exiled to the sticks. Whispers erupted. "She looks so provincial. Is she really Goddess Janet's sister? Probably an illegitimate child. I heard she was so dumb they sent her to a village school overseas." I ignored them, walked to the last empty desk, and pulled out a book. Suddenly, a foot shot out in front of me. I saw it but chose not to avoid it, instead stomping down hard. Arg! A blood-curdling scream rang out. The owner of the foot, a bleach-blonde playboy, hopped around clutching his leg. "Are you blind, you brat?" I calmly adjusted my glasses. "Sorry, your legs are so long, I thought they were table legs." The class burst into laughter. He turned beet red and was about to lung at me when a cold voice drifted from the back door. "Too noisy." "Shut up." Everyone froze and parted like the Red Sea. A tall boy with a disheveled uniform but a regal aura walked in. His face was sculpted like a statue, but his eyes were as cold as ice. That was Brian Marshall, the crown prince of the Marshall Group and the top of the food chain at this school. He was also my nominal fiancé, though ironically he had never seen my face. He brushed past me, his gaze pausing for a second before moving on as if looking at an inanimate object. He sat at the desk next to mine and buried his head to sleep. I frowned slightly. Truly, a narrow road for enemies. The cafeteria clash. At lunch, I carried my tray alone. Janet and her friends intentionally occupied all the good tables. Seeing me struggle, she waved. "Sister Olivia, come sit with us." I knew she was up to no good, but I walked over anyway. Just as I was about to sit, a friend of Janet's named Lena Brown swiftly tipped a glass of orange juice onto the chair. "Oh, sorry." My hand slipped. "The chair is wet. Why don't you sit on the floor?" "It suits your status." The group howled with laughter. I looked at the puddle of juice, then at Lena's smug face. Without a word, I took my tray and flipped it directly onto her head. A piercing scream echoed through the cafeteria. Soup and food dripped from her hair down her face, making her look unimaginably pathetic. I smiled, my voice gentle but loud enough for everyone to hear. "Sorry, my hand slipped too. What a waste. Such good food ending up in the trash." Lena went ballistic and tried to grab my hair, but I nimbly stepped aside, tripping her so she fell face first into the mess on the floor. Janet stood up, eyes welling with tears. "Sister Olivia, how could you?" "Lena just made a mistake. You're being too much. Apologize to her." I looked at Janet with sharp eyes. "Little sister, teach your friend how to hold a glass properly. As for me, I'll teach her how to be human." I turned and walked away, leaving the crowd gawking. From a distance, I felt a gaze fixed on me. I turned and caught Brian Marshall standing on the second floor, a soda in his hand, his lips curled into an intrigued smirk. My heart skipped a beat. Had he seen everything? The secret in the library. Life at school wasn't easy. Janet constantly played tricks, hiding my books, slashing my gym clothes, even spreading rumors that I was a shoplifter. I neutralized them all in silence. Moreover, I secretly gathered evidence of her buying grades, hiring ghostwriters, and her clandestine affair with the PE teacher. In class, I maintained a C average, hiding my true capabilities. I was fluent in 4 languages and had held a master's in economics since I was 16. But the quiet tree was soon shaken by a loud wind. The first term diagnostic exam arrived, a crucial test for class ranking and scholarships. Janet, the piano genius and all-around honor student, was the center of attention. The night before, she crept into my room with a glass of warm milk. "Drink this, sister. It'll help you sleep for the exam tomorrow." I took the glass and caught the faint scent of sleeping pills. I smirked. Such a low-tier tactic. I poured the milk into a cactus pot and pretended to sleep. The next morning, I woke up refreshed, while Janet looked at me in shock. "Sister, you're up so early? Thanks to your milk," I beamed. It was delicious. In the exam room, I scanned the paper. Too easy. I could have finished in 30 minutes with a perfect score. But I stuck to the plan. I only answered 70% of the questions. I wanted Janet to be complacent. I wanted her to climb high so the fall would be more painful. When results were posted, Janet was ranked first, praised before the whole school. I was 150th, just average. Janet ran to me, flaunting her scorecard. Don't be sad, sister. I know you tried. Intelligence is in the genes. You must take after your mother. I smiled thinly. Yes, I take after my mother, which is why I don't need to cheat. Her face paled. What did you say? I leaned into her ear. The cheat sheet in your pencil case and the answer text you got from the proctor. I know all about it. Careful, little sister. Don't make me leak them. She began to tremble, realizing I knew everything. One rainy afternoon, I stayed late in the library researching a real estate project in the West District that the Lynn Group was bidding for. It was my grandfather's passion project. I couldn't let it fall into the wrong hands. Suddenly, I heard a strange noise from the back shelves. I crept closer and saw Brian Marshall slumped on the floor, face ashen, clutching his chest and gasping for air. A heart attack or asthma? I wasn't sure, but it was critical. Brian Marshall, what's wrong? Where is your medicine? He opened his bloodshot eyes and wheezed. Pocket. I rifled through his jacket, found a small vial, and shoved 2 pills into his mouth before running for water. Gradually, his breathing stabilized. He leaned against the shelves, eyes closed. I sat beside him, observing silently. So even the haughty crown prince had moments of weakness. Who are you? He croaked. I adjusted my glasses. Olivia Lynn? Your desk mate. He frowned, his memory seemingly poor. Ah, the girl who dumped rice on Lena Brown. I laughed. Is that your only impression of me? He stared at me, searching. Why did you help me? Aren't you afraid I'll silence you to keep my secret? I shrugged. If you die here, I'm the #1 suspect. Too much trouble. Brian actually laughed, a rare smile that brightened his cold face. You're interesting. Don't tell anyone about today. I nodded. As I turned to leave, he caught my wrist. His hand was cold but powerful. Hey, those glasses don't suit you. Take them off. I startled and jerked my hand away. None of your business. I sprinted out of the library, my heart pounding. Brian Marshall had eyes too sharp for his own good. The autumn ball. Our relationship shifted after the library incident. He no longer treated me like air. He'd hide my pens or doodle in my notebooks. Childish acts that both annoyed and amused me. Janet, however, was livid. She had targeted Brian as her ticket to the top. One day, she cornered me in the restroom. Sister Olivia, don't think for a second that young Master Marshall actually likes you. He's just playing with you like a weird toy. Look at yourself, ugly and poor. How could you ever compete with me? I dried my hands and looked at her through the mirror. I don't need to compete. You're the one comparing us. As for Brian, if you want him, go get him. I'm busy. Then came the announcement of the Autumn Gala, the biggest social event of the year. Janet was determined to be crowned social queen. She campaigned aggressively, buying votes and faking charity work. I, however, only cared about one thing. My father was going to announce a partnership with the Marshall Group that night. I needed to be there to disrupt it. I needed a dress. With my finances controlled, I couldn't buy designer. Fortunately, my mother had been a famous designer. She left me sketches and rare fabrics in a secret basement room my father didn't know about. I decided to sew my own dress, one that would make everyone stop breathing. The night of the gala, St. Helena was like a palace. Janet appeared like a princess in a sparkling pink gown, arm in arm with Brian. Everyone swooned. A match made in heaven. Brian's face, however, remained expressionless. Just as the MC announced the opening dance, the lights dimmed. A single spotlight hit the grand staircase. I stepped down, not in the dowdy rag Victoria had given me, but in a mysterious midnight blue velvet gown. It hugged my curves and featured a high slit that showcased my legs. Across the bodice, Swarovski crystals formed the Ursa Major constellation, glittering under the lights. I had ditched the thick glasses. My makeup was sharp and my long black hair fell in waves. The room went silent. Who is that? Is that a goddess? Wait, is that Olivia Lynn? Impossible. I walked straight toward Brian. Janet's face turned purple as I reached out my hand. Master Marshall, may I have this dance? What are you doing? Janet hissed. He's my partner. Brian looked at Janet, then at me. A smirk played on his lips. He brushed Janet's hand away and took mine. The honor is mine, my lady. As we glided across the floor to a waltz, his hand on my waist was warm. You hid yourself well, Cinderella, he whispered. I leaned in. Cinderella only has magic until midnight. As for me, I'm the witch, he laughed, tightening his grip. Then I'm happy to be the witch's prey. In that moment, I knew I had won this round. Over his shoulder, I saw Janet standing frozen, her face contorted with jealousy. But I didn't know that my brilliance tonight was the spark that would ignite the truly vicious plots her mother was preparing to drop on my head. The trap and the counterstrike. After the ball, Olivia Lynn became the top search term on the school forums. Photos of us dancing went viral. People began praising my aura and comparing me favorably to Janet. This drove her insane. She smashed furniture at home, screaming at Victoria, "You have to do something. That brat stole my spotlight. She's seducing Brian." Victoria hugged her daughter, her eyes glinting with malice. "Don't worry. She's just a firefly trying to outshine the full moon. I have a way to ruin her so she'll never stand again." Days later, vicious rumors spread that I had slept with sugar daddies in England, had abortions, and was a drug addict. Sophisticated deepfake photos were leaked online. I was pointed at and whispered about wherever I went. Disgusting, they said. So pretty, yet so rotten inside. Stay away, or you'll catch something. I knew exactly who was behind it, but I didn't rush to clear my name. I needed undeniable proof. I hired a hacker friend I'd met online to trace the IP addresses. Unsurprisingly, they all led back to Janet's personal laptop. Then came the startup innovation competition. The prize was a massive investment and internships at top firms. I registered with an AI-integrated personal finance app. Janet joined too, though she knew nothing of tech. She resorted to her old ways. She broke into my room, copied my entire hard drive, and submitted the project a day before me. When I went to submit, the teacher looked at me suspiciously. "Olivia Lynn, your project is identical to Janet's. Did you plagiarize your sister?" Janet stood there, looking innocent. "Teacher, she probably just ran out of ideas and referenced mine." "I don't blame her. Please don't punish her." I laughed coldly. "Referenced? Fine, Janet. Since you love stealing, I'll give you the full package." I looked at the teacher. "Sir, I didn't plagiarize. I have proof this is my work. Will you allow a direct confrontation before the board?" That afternoon, the hall was packed. Brian Marshall sat in the front row, waiting for the show. Janet went first, reciting the script I had written. She was confident, her slides were beautiful, but when the judges asked about the core algorithm, she faltered, using buzzwords to hide her ignorance. She assumed the judges were just regular teachers. She was wrong. One was a guest expert from Z-Tech. Then it was my turn. I didn't use slides. I opened a raw code file. "Judges, in the version Janet presented, there is a critical error on line 305. If a large data set is entered, the system automatically redirects funds to a default charity account. It's a logic trap I installed specifically to catch intellectual property thieves. Janet, why don't you run the demo now?" Janet turned white, she trembling as she operated the computer. Exactly as I said, the system crashed, flashing red text. "Illegal copy detected. Intellectual property belongs to Olivia Lynn." The hall erupted in jeers. How pathetic. And she called herself a goddess. Janet stood frozen, tears streaming down her face, but no one defended her. Brian Marshall stood and clapped, a look of pride and possession in his eyes. The brewing storm. Janet was disqualified and faced expulsion. She hid in her room for a week, pretending to be depressed. But the atmosphere at the Lynn Villa was suffocating. Every time my father came home, Janet would sit in a corner, clutching a childhood photo album and weeping softly. Her fragile white lotus act worked. My father's heart ached for her, and the blame shifted to me. At dinner, my father slammed his chopsticks down. "Look at what you've done to your sister. She's sensitive and weak. So you won a competition. Did you have to humiliate her in front of the whole school? Do you even consider her family?" I calmly ate a piece of sweet and sour rib. The flavor was perfect, yet my heart felt bitter. I looked at the man reddening with rage. Father, you taught me to protect the family honor. She stole from someone else and got caught. Is that honoring the family? I just gave her a lesson early, before the real world throws her in jail. He was speechless with rage. He raised his hand to slap me, but Victoria stopped him. Dear, don't ruin your health. Olivia has a point. I clearly haven't taught Janet well enough. I apologize, Olivia. She looked at me, her eyes tearful, yet deep down, they were as sharp as daggers. Olivia, I know you're angry, but your 18th birthday is coming up. I want to throw a massive party to clear away this bad luck. Consider it my way of making it up to you. Do you agree? I saw the fake smile on her lips and a chill ran down my spine. She was plotting something far worse than a rumor. Sure, Auntie, I nodded. I'm really looking forward to it.